Summarize written text. Now, in the previous video, we already looked at how to link the sentences together. So now we're just looking at the content. And oftentimes people ask me, where do we find the content? Where do we identify the main points? Do we read the passage once? Do we read the passage twice? And my response to that is, what are you talking about? We ain't gonna read that shit. My name is Sonny and this is Sonny English. In this channel, I provide real tips and tricks to help you obtain your PTE score. If you're new here, please subscribe. Now this video, I'm going to show you how I come up with the content to create the complex compound sentence for the summarized written text. If you haven't seen that video already, just click on the link above. Now before we begin, I want to point out two things. First, I actually have another way to do the summarized written text, which is by using a template. I will not be providing that tutorial on YouTube. Those tutorials are available on my website when you enroll for a course, and the link will be provided below. Second, paraphrase. With the technique I'm about to show you, should you or should you not? Now I have some people that paraphrase and some people that don't. As for myself, I always paraphrase, just in case. So y'all ready to do this? Let's get into it.
Okay, so if you remember from the summarized written text overview, I mentioned that we will not be writing anything near 75 words. We're going to be shooting for 20 to 40 words. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is we will not be reading the entire passage. So as an example, here is one of the passages that they'll give us, okay? And as you can see here, I actually separated each paragraph with a text box. And the reason for this is because we will be reading portions of the paragraph and writing a sentence. We're going to use the complex compound sentence method that we practiced in the previous lesson. We're going to write out 3 short independent sentences and then we link it together. This way we will eliminate the chances of making mistakes, grammar mistakes. So how do we know what to read in order to write down the sentence? Now for paragraphs, usually the first sentence, I'll highlight it for you. I'm going to highlight all of them. For paragraphs, the first sentence should be the topic sentence. So we're going to limit ourselves to reading just that. Okay, so here is the second one. Let me highlight the third one. Okay, so these are the 3 sentences that we will be reading. Now just to recap, when we write complex compound sentences, we're going to be writing 3 short independent sentences. But 2 of those sentences need to share the same noun. So as we're writing out these sentences, that's what we're going to be paying attention to. The ongoing conflict between 2 mega-coal companies is known to all. I would try to paraphrase it as much as I can. If you can't change the words, then use theirs, but at least attempt to change some of them. Don't copy the words exactly as it is. So in this situation, what would I write? I would say 2 major soft drink companies are in a continuous competition. Okay, so that is a sentence that I got from theirs. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. I just try to change some words around to say something similar. Let's take a look at the second sentence. It reads, the consumer taste criteria adjudge what is good and what is the evil. So what would I write in this situation? I would say customers make their decisions by taste. Okay, something like that. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. I'm talking about customers and taste, so something close enough. Okay, so let's go down to the third sentence, but I want you to see the sentence above. In the first sentence, we talked about companies and competition. In the second sentence, we talked about customers, decisions, and taste. Those are all the nouns. So in the third sentence, we need to talk about one of those nouns. That's a lot of options. So I'll read the sentence and pretty much afterwards, I think we can determine which one we're going to be talking about. The companies are daily remodeling their marketing strategy. So right away, I can see we're going to talk about companies. So what would I write in this situation? Both companies are constantly changing their advertisements. Okay, so I say advertisements. In Australia, you probably hear advertisements. So advertisements. Now I have 3 simple sentences. I've read 3 sentences and I wrote 3 sentences. So I'm not going to read anything more. That's enough. I'm going to go ahead and copy the sentences down and show it to you. one by one so we can compare it. So customers, this is the second one. Okay, and then third one. And we bring this down all together now. All right, so we have 3 sentences here. From what you remember with the complex compound sentence, what do we do first? So remember that lesson is there for you to review. Go back and watch it if you don't know what I'm doing here. But as you can see, I have 2 sentences. I have this one that talks about soft drink companies. Would you agree that both companies are actually referring to those same cola companies or those same soft drink companies, right? Okay, so if these 2 are sharing the same nouns, what do we do? Now first, are companies people? No, they're not people. So if they're not people, do we use who or which? In this situation, we will use which because companies are not people. I'm gonna get rid of this full stop and let me ask you, what do I do with this sentence? Okay, so remember this is important because we don't just put this at the end of another sentence. That doesn't always work. Which is called a relative pronoun. We need to put it next to the relative. So what does which represent? Where did it come from? Well, originally it was companies, both companies. So we need to take this sentence and put it next to companies. And that is your complex sentence. Let's read it. 2 major soft drink companies which are constantly changing their advertisements are in a continuous competition. That is your complex. So now let's take a look at the compound. How do we do that? So we just bring this up. Okay, so this still is separated. So this is actually 2 sentences. So we need to link it together. So remember, we already have our complex. So in the compound, we just need to use a semicolon and one of those conjunctive adverbs. And in this situation, is the sentence opposite, a result, or a continuation? For me, it doesn't seem opposite. For me, it doesn't seem like a result of something. So I'll just continue it on. I will use furthermore. And then the comma is there. Okay, so we need to have that semicolon and then the conjunctive adverb, which is furthermore, and then comma. Don't forget the punctuation. That's important. And then we're going to make that C small. And that is your complex compound sentence. And I'll read it for you. 2 major soft drink companies which are constantly changing their advertisements are in a continuous competition. Furthermore, customers make their decisions by taste. Okay, so this is what we have from the passage. And how many words do we have? We have 23. Okay, so we have 23 words and our goal was to have between 20 to 40. So when we use this method, we will hit that range between 20 to 40. You don't even need to count the words. So once again, let me recap it for you. Otherwise, you have to watch the video again and feel free to do that. So remember, we're going to get a passage. Sometimes it's 3 paragraphs, sometimes it's 4, maybe even 1 though, okay? So I'll talk a little bit about that afterwards. But when we have enough content, we want to create 3 separate independent sentences, nice and short, just like this. We do not read the entire passage. Just read one sentence and paraphrase it and create your own sentence. And that's what I did here. I created 3 independent sentences and then I linked it together to create the complex first and then the compound. So what happens if you don't have enough content? What if they only give you 1 paragraph or 2? Okay, in that situation, don't do 3 sentences. Make 2 sentences. And before I said I put complex over compound, so that's why I keep saying complex compound, because if you only have 2 sentences, create the complex. That is more important. Okay, so I hope you understand the technique that we're going to be using for the summarized written text, but this does require you to know how to write sentences. Of course, there are lessons on showing you how to create sentences, but if you don't have the time to learn how to write sentences without making mistakes, then don't attempt this. Use the template method. In the template method, you will not need to write sentences. You will just write down what I give you and maybe add a few words. But I would say 95% of the writing is already pre-written, so you don't have to worry about writing sentences. This is for people that already know how to write sentences and they don't like to memorize.
There you have it. Hopefully that cleared things up a little bit for you for the summarized written text. But remember, there are 2 methods to doing this. Consider this the free version and the template is the paid version. So if you prefer to use the templates, the link will be provided below. Thank you for watching. Please give me that thumbs up and subscribe to my channel.